Hi there! Today I want to show you how to make a liner using your envelope scoreboard. Easily using a little piece of paper. First of all, we take our scoreboard. I do want to point out that I'm using a scoreboard made by We Are Memory Keepers, and Stampin' Up! Also carries an envelope punch board, and the difference between the two is their names on it, number one, and the second thing that I think is most important is the size to a card that I make all the time, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, is not printed on the We Are Memory Makers scoreboard. So if you haven't purchased one yet, I would purchase a Stampin' Up! One just so that you don't have to do what I do and write my size and tape it down to my board, because that size is an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of paper cut into two, and that particular size of card, which is an A2, is one that I make all the time. Okay, so we know by the measurements on our scoreboard that we need to start with an 8 by 8 piece of paper that I've already pre-cut. I'm going to go ahead and make my envelope. It has this nifty little score tool right built into the board. I love it. And we're going to start our first score at 3 1/2. So I'm measuring right here at 3 1/2, and there's a little flange on the opposite side of this that you can't see. I'm going to punch and score. Turn my paper once. Line up with my score mark on the paper, because I no longer am going to use this. Just the very first time I score. Punch and score. Turn my paper. Line up with my score mark I just made. Punch and score. You can start from the front or the back. There's a score groove right here, which is wonderful. Turn my paper, line up my score mark, punch, and score. That's my last score line. On the back side of this, which you can see really well, is a corner rounder. So I'm going to go ahead and round my corners. Real quick. And this finishes off my envelope. All but folding it. Excuse me, getting over a cold. Now, to cut so that I know what size of piece of paper to start out for my liner, it's so simple. Remember, when we look at our scoreboard, the first number on our card size that we're using is 4 1/4. You're always going to subtract 1/4 from your number to get your square. So 4 1/4 minus 1/4 is 4 inches. So I cut a piece of paper 4 inches square. Now all I'm going to do is round one side. Make sure you only round one side. It'll prevent a lot of headache. Trust me on that. And then I'm going to be very careful to put my rounded corner on my left hand side. Shooting the video, I notice that looks like it's on your right hand side, but trust me, it's on your left. So I'm going to line it up with the 4-inch mark, because that's what size my paper is. But I want to subtract 1/8. So I'm going to move it down to the next score line here. So I'm going to, that's subtracting 1/8, which would mean it's 3 7/8 inch. And that's where I'm going to do my punch. I'm going to turn my paper over, again keeping my rounded point to my left at the top. Line it up with the 4 inches. I need to subtract 1/8, so I'm going to move down to the 1/8 mark and punch. Done with the scoreboard. Love the scoreboard. Then on my long side of my envelope, I'm going to place my paper. I'm going to line up the tip right here with the tip of my envelope, and see these little points on either side that I just clipped? I'm lining that up on the score line. There you have it. Just that simple. So I'm going to tape it down. By the way, if you forget and try to put it on the small side, you can see that won't work. It hangs out over the edges. This is cut for the long side. So again, I'm going to line up right in the center, line up my score lines, and done. I'll turn it around so you can see it from this angle. The point does not show. Fold my card. Might, for the video, I'm not going to reinforce my folds, but you might want to do that when you're making yours. There we go. Voila. Pretty, huh? Just that simple. Thank you for joining me today.